Thank you very much. And at this point, let me turn it over to our special guest today, Miss Karen Griggsby. Let's give her some appreciation, shall we? All right.
Thank you so very much, Stan. And with that introduction, I don't need to say anything. I'm just done. But anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure how many time zones we are zooming in from, but I wanted to make sure I covered all of them and let no one feel slighted. As Stan said, I am Karen Griggsby, a retired diversity executive formerly with IBM and Fina Oil and Chemical Company. Before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to thank Stan Reynolds for inviting me to join you today, as well as all the members of Educational Missions. I must say, after going online and reading all the organization's materials, I am thoroughly impressed with the work you are doing and am privileged to be with you today. Let me, okay, thank you. Let me begin my journey, which began in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, a number of years ago. My three siblings and I were raised by our mom, a single mom, and to say our everyday life was a struggle to survive is putting it mildly. We reached a point where the struggles and hardships were the only thing we knew, and so it was acceptable to us. We never questioned, we never complained. It was our life, it was our existence. We had each other, and we had the strongest and bravest woman I know, my mom. You may ask how we were able to survive all the turmoil surrounding us. And the answer is simple: our faith in God was a constant in the same way our poverty was. My mom instilled in us, drug us to church and Sunday school every Sunday, every Wednesday. But no matter what, we had faith and we knew that there was a God and that He would take care of us. We were taught by mom that no matter what we had to endure, prayer would someday make our lives better. I remember always praying for strength and courage to get me through my day, for there was no other hope. To this very day in my prayers, each and every day, I still continually ask for strength and courage to face whatever God places in front of me. No matter how difficult or unbearable things became, mom always told us that no matter what our present situation was, it would not determine who or what we would become, that poverty was not our destiny. She drilled that into us to the point where we knew it, we believed it, and we knew we had to work hard in order to achieve it. Talk about light at the end of the tunnel. That easily could have been my mom's mantra. My mom never gave up. She never let us give up. One thing I always look back on and it always brings a smile to my face is no matter how worn or tattered our clothes were, mom starched and ironed every piece of clothing we put on our backs, including our hair ribbons that matched our dresses. She did this to the point where our clothes almost looked new, although they were far from that. And that we were not ashamed to go to school or to go to church because my mom made us look good. We wore, some of you probably will not remember, but we wore black and white Oxfords or blue and white or brown and white Oxfords. And my mom would take the bottle of shoe polish and make sure that the white was always white. We should have to put cardboard in our shoes sometimes, not sometimes, but a lot of times, because they were wearing out and we had no money for new. But what we had on our feet matched our clothes. And we were ashamed, but not ashamed. Another memory that does not bring a smile to my face is the fact that uh, we had rats in our house, and you really could not call it a home. We did not have we used an outhouse. We had running water, but we had no hot water. We had to heat water. We had to take baths in a tin tub, and we had to share the bath water. But the rats, just as poverty was a constant, the rats were a constant. To this day, I am petrified of rats. I cannot stand to see a rat even on TV. I always say, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And that is so true. As a young girl, I spent a lot of time alone going through the pages of McCall's magazine. That's another publication that some of you probably never heard of. But it was a magazine that I found another life in that magazine. I discovered through the pages there was another life completely different from mine that I couldn't grasp. That what I saw was unbelievable. It was not something I could imagine. Now, where did I get that magazine from? I know we didn't buy it. There was no money for frivolous things like a magazine. My mom believed in education, and so we always went to the library. We walked to the library, and I'm sure that's where I got the magazine from. Going to the library was one of the few things that we enjoyed, and it was an escape for all of us. Whenever I looked at the pictures of families in the magazine, who of course were always white, I would always wonder if the kids in that magazine ever went to bed hungry. Did they ever know what it was like not to be completely full, not to be satisfied? It's not a nice feeling. I also wondered if they ever wore hand-me-down clothes, if they had clothes that fit them, that was bought for them. Didn't ever have that experience. My clothes never fit, and it was something I was used to. I remember cutting out paper dolls in the magazine, and back in those days, you put the clothes on the paper doll, and I would dress them so meticulously because I wanted the clothes to fit perfectly, unlike my clothes fit me. At the same time, I also wondered, did they understand how lucky they were at Christmas to have toys, to not have to share toys, to get a new toy? I wondered all of these things. And at such a young age, I don't understand how I had these feelings, but I had them. I also wondered about the food that they displayed. And I wondered what it would be like to taste some of this food. None of what I saw on those pages in that magazine matched anything in my mom's kitchen. Nothing. You were taught that you ate what was put in front of you. You didn't have a choice. And I thought, there has to be food out there that I like and that I can enjoy. And I told myself, one day you will. I to the point where I am now the biggest food snob in the world, but I've earned that right. I've worked hard and I only eat what I want to eat and when I want to eat it. When one of the times my mom came to visit me in Minnesota, she wanted bologna sandwiches for lunch. And I said, there's no bologna in this house. She said, why? And I said, because I promised myself I'd never eat another bologna sandwich in my life. So then she wanted to make some beans for dinner. And I said, there are no beans in this house. I swore to myself I would never, ever eat another bean. And to this day, I don't. I I make black eyed peas for New Year's for good luck, but I camouflage them so much that you would never know that they were black eyed peas. I didn't want to, she asked me why I didn't have these things in my refrigerator. And I just said, I always promised myself that I would eat what I liked. And I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I did not want to make her feel bad that I was miserable with the food that we had. And I would never have things like that in my home. So I just took her to the supermarket, let her get whatever she wanted to get. And it was all the things I hated. And I told her, you can cook whatever you want, but I'm not going to eat it. And she understood. You know, as I grew older, I began to realize after spending so much time imagining myself in the pages of McCall's magazine, there was a world completely different from mine. And I wanted to see that world, not just read about it. But I was still young and didn't have a clue as to how I could accomplish this. After graduating from high school, there was absolutely no money for college, absolutely none. So I did what most young Black ladies did. I went to work for the Pennsylvania state government, stenographer. I worked, I saved, and a trip through the state government became available. It was to the Bahamas. And I still lived at home. I respected my mom. I lived under her roof. And I said, Mom, can I go? And she said, yes. And that was the beginning of the change in my life. I got on that airplane and I knew there was something special going to happen to me. And it began with seeing a Black flight attendant. And I know she thought I was weird because I just stared at her the entire time. And I finally had the nerve to say to her, can I ask you some questions? I mean, just a few questions. She said, of course. And I asked her how she became one, how she became, well, at the time they were called stewardesses. I said, how did you become one? And she told me she was hired and she went through extensive training. And then I asked her, have you seen the world? And she said, I've been to a number of countries. And so I left there with a renewed energy that I said to myself, this is your way. This is what you want to do. This is how you're going to accomplish your goal of seeing the world. And I came home and it wasn't as easy as I thought. you had most airlines, they wanted a college degree. I had none. Most of them wanted some form of a, like a trade school license or whatever. And whatever they wanted, I did not have. And so I took the route of going to a airline stewardess school, which, as I look back, was a total mistake. But to me, it was the only option I had. And so I enrolled. I could do the course from home, and it was expensive and I couldn't afford it. But I said, Lord, this is what I want to do. Please help me. Well, one night I was at a basketball game and I saw a former high school friend of mine, and she said she was living in New York and working for an airline. And she said, they're hiring. She said, would you like an application? I said, I would love one. I took it home, I filled it out, but I crossed out ticket agent and put in stewardess. I received a call. I went in for an interview, and I know I slayed my interview. I just know I did. And the only thing that would prohibit me was the fact that I bit my nails. Terrible, terrible habit. And I wore gloves to the interview. And at the very end, the two gentlemen interviewing me said, would you remove your gloves? And I did. And they said, if we hire you, you cannot have nails like this. And I promised them, I said, oh, no, no problem. And so I was hired. And that began my journey as a stewardess. It was fascinating. It was exciting. I met fascinating people. I began to see some of the world, and I was so happy, so, so happy. I'm achieving another one of my dreams. Now, was it all peaches and cream? No, I experienced racism for the first time in my life. I had a fellow stewardess say to in the hotel lobby in Oregon, she said in front of everyone, she would not share a room with the N-word. And so everyone was shocked, and the captain said he would pay for my room. And the hotel said, no, we'll give her a room. Another time I experienced racism was on an airplane with a passenger, and he got on and he said he didn't want using the N-word waiting on him. And so fine. But he proceeded to just use the N-word just randomly. So the captain came out and he told the guy to be quiet. And the guy called him an N-lover. So the captain told me to go to the cockpit and stay in the cockpit until we landed. And the police met the flight. So it wasn't everything I dreamt, but it wasn't enough to take me away, to deter my dreams. And to this day, I have absolutely no regrets about giving up or achieving my dream for 24 years. I was a flight attendant for 24 years. I got a chance to see a lot of the world, but more importantly, my mom got to see some of it with me. She wasn't happy. Excuse me, my mom wanted to go to Hawaii twice a year. That's all she wanted to do. And I told my sister, get her a passport. She's going to see other places than Hawaii. And we went to Taipei, and they were not used to seeing Black people. I was used to it because I had layovers there. And so they swarmed us. I mean, literally trying to touch us. My mom was scared to death. She said, "Get me to the hotel." And I said, "Mom, they're never going to hurt us. They're just fascinated." So it was a good choice for me. It was a good career. But at the it ended on a really bad note. A flight attendant, a white flight attendant, accused me of threatening to kill her. I did not threaten to kill her. I did threaten to kick her butt. I did do that, but I did it from the safety of my car. I never got out of my car. And for whatever reason, Northwest, the airline, they believed her over me. There were no witnesses, no one was hurt, no one was touched, and they chose to fire me. And that was the low point of my life. I had been raised that if you did right, nothing bad happened to you. And this was the most devastating thing, to the point where I had to seek help. I had to seek a psychiatrist to help me through it. I couldn't tell my family. I was too ashamed. I was too embarrassed. But she helped me realize that it wasn't me. And I remember watching Phil Donahue, where I saw this Black judge in New York, and he wrote a book called Black Robes, White Justice. And I wrote him a letter, and I told him what had happened to me. And he didn't respond. But 2 months later, he called me, and he said he was in Europe, and he said, "I came back and I read your distressing letter." And he said, under no circumstances, with no witnesses, no one was touched, you were sitting in your car, should you have been fired. And he told me some things to do, and I did some of them, but it got to the point where the next step, I would have had to pay like $10,000, and it was called a summary judgment. I didn't have the money, and I was afraid that I could lose again. And if I lost again, I did not know my strength. I did not know I could, if I lost again, how I would recover. And so I chose not to pursue it. And it was an okay decision. I lived with it. I prayed on it. And it was the right thing for me to do. Where do I go from here? What do I do? The world had literally passed me by. Being in the airline industry, you live in a world that is foreign to a lot of people. I wasn't qualified to do anything. I didn't have a college degree, but I interviewed with IBM, and the HR manager said, "Karen, if I could hire you just to talk to you, I would." He says, "But I can't." And I thanked him. And a couple of weeks later, he called me. He said, "I'm embarrassed to even ask you this." He says, "I have a temporary position, and it is being a gopher to the executive secretaries." He said, "This is so demeaning. You have so much to offer, so much to give." And then I thought, well, this is the foot in the door. IBM, I'm going to get in there and I'll prove myself. And so I took the assignment, worked my tail off. I did whatever these ladies asked me to do, and I became friends with them. And I think one of the things that stood out amongst all the people I worked with on that executive floor was one morning, it snowed like 20 inches. Now, this was in Minnesota. I moved from Pennsylvania to Minnesota when I became a flight attendant. And so I figured, oh, I can't be late for work. I left the house like at 5 in the morning, and I got to IBM like at 7:30, and no one else was there. Come to find out, they had closed the office, and there I am. So I think that was one of the defining moments where they said, wow, she is a worker. She will do whatever it takes. And so people noticed me, and a department asked if I was interested in full-time employment. I said yes. They hired me. The president that I was working for, he found out that I was leaving, and he said, do whatever it takes to keep her. I don't care what it is, but keep her. They offered me 3 different jobs. I wasn't qualified for any of them, but they told me, take your pick. And so I became a secretary, which wasn't foreign to me, but I hadn't been one for years, but that's what I did. And I said, and I was fortunate because they kept me on the same floor. I was comfortable because I knew the people, and it was just, it was comfortable. And I learned so much, but they learned a lot from me too. And so it was just a good time in my life. This same president, he was promoted, and he was moving to Dallas. And he said, are you interested in being a part of the team in Dallas? And I said, of course. And so he gave me, which was unheard of in my day, a corporate move for a secretary. I mean, no one believed it, but I had this corporate move. I moved to Dallas, and within weeks, I was promoted. And that's where my commitment to diversity came in. Am I running out of time? Okay.
You're good, Karen. You're good.
Okay. So they made me a diversity supervisor, and diversity meant making sure minorities and white women had equal opportunity to participate in the bidding process. When a contract came up, I had to make sure there were qualified suppliers that were either minorities or women or both. And I love that. I like making a difference. Well, all good things must come to an end. Once again, IBM was downsizing, and I was the most junior person. Plus, I did not have a degree. So the president walked into my office and said, Karen, I'd do anything to keep you, but I can't. He said, I will do anything to help you get another job. And he did. He introduced me to the CEO of the oil company, Fina Oil and Chemical. And I interviewed, and they hired me. And you don't know what it's like going to an oil company, talking about diversity, talking about change with a bunch of good old white boys. It was unbelievable, disrespectful, but I never ever, I mean, they would just treat me like dirt. I'd go back to my office and I would cry, and I'd say, but they're not going to defeat me. And it got to the point where when I said, this program is not a handout, it's a hand up. Just give them opportunity. And when they saw that I what is it, walk the walk and talk the talk, and that I did bring qualified people to them, they started to embrace the program. They started to embrace me. And that was such a good feeling that I truly was making a difference. at IBM, I learned they wanted me to be out in the community. And so that's where my love for volunteering began. And then when I moved to Dallas and went to work for the oil company, it was on a much grander scale because the CEO was totally committed to diversity. He was totally committed to minority business development. And so I was always out there in the community promoting these things. And to the point where we adopted two historically Black colleges and universities. One is here in Florida. It is Florida A&M University. It's been the top producing HBCU in the country for the last 5 years. And I'm so proud of that. And the other college, the HBCU that we adopted was Howard University in DC. Once again, all good things come to an end. The oil company was relocating headquarters to Houston, and I had just gotten married and did not want to leave. And so I started my own business, and it was event design, and I did consulting for corporations or individuals or small companies, whatever, that wanted to start a diversity program. And so I did that. And it was very easy for me because all of my contacts from my days as a MWBE person, all of my contacts from all the major corporations, EDS, JCPenney, Frito-Lay, they were all located in Plano, Texas, and it was called Platinum Row. And so we were like a family. And so when I struck out on my own, it was so easy to get business. It was so easy because my husband, he brought in business. He was a very successful business owner. He had his own company, very successful, was known throughout the United States. But once again, all good things must come to an end, and he decided to leave me. And when he left me, he took everything from me and tried to destroy me, which he almost did. He took money, cars, houses, boats, and left me literally destitute. Slept in my car at times because I was so ashamed, because I had this, everyone thought I had this fantastic life, and I did, and I took it for granted. And when he left, it was nothing but shame and humiliation. And at my darkest hour, I remember waking up and thinking, I hadn't eaten in 10 days, and I'd had one glass of milk, and I thought, I'm ready to leave here. And it was about 2:00 one morning that this light came in my window, and I heard this song coming out of the dark. And I got out of bed and I said, Lord, I'm not ready to leave yet. Just give me my strength, give me my courage. And he did. And I never looked back. So what do? You pick yourself up. You try to find a way to survive. I had to get assistance, and that brought back memories of my childhood being on welfare and having to ask for help. It was just a terrible time for me, but it brought me full circle. And it made me understand my mom's plight in raising us on welfare and not having anything. It brought it home full circle. So here I am working part-time or small jobs or whatever. And I just said, whatever God puts in front of me, I will deal with. And I did. So throughout my life's journey, I always had mentors who believed in me, who pushed me, who challenged me, and who made me a better person. And they took pride in my success. So I went to some of them that I still knew, and they helped me along the way. I never, ever gave up on myself. I believed in me and would let no one else control my destiny but me. So I say to you, listen to your heart, map out your life plan, and above all, believe in yourself. By having the strength and courage to pursue whatever path you choose, this path should allow you to be the best of yourself, which in turn will enable you to become successful in your own right. Once you reach your personal pinnacle of success, never ever forget to reach back and extend a hand, because whatever you achieve, you will never achieve it on your own. So reach out, extend that hand and pull someone else up with you. It will make a difference in your life and someone else's life. I must say, I'm never ashamed of my past, and I talk about it. And I am never ashamed of my past, for it led me to my future. No matter how ugly, how dirty it was, never ashamed. My family, which is a bunch of overachievers. I mean, we kill each other over a game of trouble. They don't understand how I can put all of my dirty laundry out there. And it's who I am. It's me. I'm not ashamed of who I am. In closing, my journey is not yet complete, and I'm ready to follow any path that God puts in front of me. I want to thank Stan once again. I want to thank the members for allowing you to share my life, my journey. I hope one day our paths might cross, but I close with the best is yet to come, and always treat your fellow man with love, respect, and kindness. Thank you again, and may God always sit on your pillow.
Right. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Karen. I tell you what, there's a lot that we can learn from you, and part of it really goes back to that grit. Okay. And your ability just to, well, starting off with having faith and prayer and then determination. But you had that determination. And what I really saw in your story was that as a little girl, you saw a dream or a vision or, what could be. And you weren't willing to settle for what you already have right now. And that ability to do what can be, that ability. And then to push forward, even though you're not getting the answers that you always want. Okay. I see you struggling, but you're pushing. And you get knocked down, you just get right back up. And that's a lesson for all of us, that we've got to take that. We just got to jump back up. At this particular point, we're going to open up the floor for conversation. And so if you will unmute yourself or put your little hand up, if you know how to put your hand up in the thing, I'm going to call on you. And I'd just like to hear what you have to say to Miss Karen, and additional comments that you would like to express to us there. And then go ahead and share.
Hello, my name is Anita Delaney, and I live outside of Dallas, Texas. I am a close friend of Karen Griggsby, and I have witnessed some of the things that Karen has shared with you here today. But I would like to say that her tenacity has really been a motivation for me as a big sister. She has shown me that you're not a quitter, and she's always involved in the community. She was in the diversity here. She had her own business here. She worked at the winery. She went to church with me. She did fellowship with me. And I mean, this lady never quits. And I just say, Lord God, just let me have a life as long as she has had and do some of the things that she has done. And it's always giving. I have seen this lady give when she did not have to give. I mean, she's everything you yourself has explained to us about your relationship with Karen. And I mean, her name here in this community will go farther than she probably know. People still today talk about, do you talk to Karen? Do you know where Karen or whatever? This is one of the sweetest ladies that I ever know. And you know what? She has done wonderful. And she's in Florida now. And she tells me many times, I'm going here, going there. I was like, girl, I'll be 65 this year. And I'm asking her, how you get this energy? I had to get myself back in the gym and work up my stamina. Because I said, I'm coming to see you, and I know you're not going to walk me to death. I'm be on the bench and you trying to walk. So I just said, I just thank her for the heart that she has. And I know that's not a heart from earth, it's a heart from God, that she has just yielded herself, and she truly gives herself away.
I love you, sweetie.
I love you too.
Okay, I'll call you.
Well, thank you so very much. You said never quit, and you're right. She never quit. She just keeps on going like that little train. I think I can. I think I can. It just keeps moving on and moving on and moving on. Who else would like to have something there to say?
I was sitting here typing, Karen. Karen, it's been a long time since I've seen you. I do miss you. Karen and I have shared many hours with each other as we traveled around Florida. And we got to definitely touch each other with stories that we had from our past. But Karen, I've never heard this story from you. I did not know about this part of you. And it was just like, how did you come through so much to get where you are? I mean, I've heard about other stories, but not from your childhood. And wow, you're such an amazing lady. It just inspired me to like, okay, just quit, dwelling on the little things and make things happen for yourself. And wow, we really need to have coffee again, because we have
absolutely
so much to talk about. Oh,
anytime.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too, and I miss our car rides together. Thank you for sharing this.
You're gonna make me cry.
It took all I could not to cry. I had no idea. I mean, you have shared a lot with me, but I never heard about your childhood. What a touching story. What just to overcome so much. Oh my God, even from the very beginning. Wow, what a story. Thank you so much for bringing this to our meeting today.
It just really goes to
Thank you.
Many times that we see people and they're successful in some nature, and we put them on a pedestal, but we really have no idea how hard they work to be able to get there, to accomplish the things that they have accomplished and the things they've gone through. And also for ourselves, let's not allow ourselves to get discouraged, because we know that people don't see the struggles that we go through. They may see us when we shine over here, when we shine over there. but they don't see the struggles that we go through. But we have to take that lesson from Karen. Regardless of that struggle, we have to just to keep working, keep going at it, and striving to continually to do our best. And that's all that we can ask. William, I see you turned on your camera there. Do you have a word of comment for us there?
Oh, you know I do. How you doing,
right.
Karen? How you doing, girl? She already know what I'm getting ready to bring it. So yes, I've always been inspired by her, known her for a few years. I consider myself the irritant in her life to keep her level.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I am. Yeah, I do. You know, I figure you need something to occupy your time. But she's been definitely been a blessing to the Plant City area. And as I always call her, I was glad to see you, Plant City Diva. And you know, that's my nickname for you. Always keeping your head up, smiling all the time. But it was wonderful to hear your story and you be so open. So again, thank you.
William, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So he needs that grain of sand in that pearl is what going on from what I hear. But we know who the pearl is, right? And now we know who the grain of sand is. Thank you so very much. One of my Ugandan friends, do we have something to say? Bodef, would you like to say something? Catherine, go ahead.
Hi. I think you should ask Karen where she was on August 28th, 1963, when her mother told her to get on the bus.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, how could I forget that, Catherine?
Oh.
My mom made us, our church had a bus to Washington, D.C. for Dr. King's speech. And I no more wanted to go to the Man in the Moon, but it wasn't a choice. And we got on the bus and went to hear Dr. King speak. It was amazing, and it began to change my life. And we don't have time, but Catherine and I worked on a diversity team together, and we were going to use Dr. King's speech and some of the music from that era. So Catherine is such a dear friend, and she shares my spirit. We call each other KJ1, and I'm KJ1 or KG1, and she's KG2. So she is dear to me and is a very special friend.
Thank you, Karen. We'll do that thing together one of these days.
Yes, we will. I know we will.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so
you.
much for sharing. I appreciate that much. Paul, I see you got your hand up. Let's go ahead.
Thank you, Stan. Hi, good people. I'm really happy to be here with you, sharing with you. And for Karen, thank you. It was such an inspiring story. It was quite a very loving and a very emotional story. Sorry, I became a bit emotional in the middle of the story. I would turn off my camera and try to compose myself and come back on. When she was sharing, the reason why it became so emotional to me, it's because I was relating on the life that she went through, and it didn't quite seem so different from my childhood experience. Having grown up with a single mother, grown up in an underprivileged community, and today, as I get to share with some of my few friends, like Conrad that I got in touch with, and he has really been a good friend. So we get to share, and I share my experience. And that's where it all comes from, the charity Gospel Missions Africa that I'm really trying to build up. Karen made a statement and said, never forget to reach out. Never forget to reach out once you've made it in life, maybe once you're somewhere. I normally tell my friends, we don't really need so much to give back to those that have less. You just have to have that giving heart, you know, like it's what pushes me, what I went through in my childhood. normally pushes me, I go back to these communities that don't have anything. I share with them even the very little that I have. And every time I walk down there, there was a time when Jinja, that is Eastern Uganda, and there was one young boy who came and cleaned my shoes as we're having a session of prayer, just because I had given him a pair of shoes and some few clothing. And later on, when I asked him what he wanted to be in life, he said, I want to be like you people. And it blew my mind away, because most of the children, you will ask us, what do you want to be in life? And people will be like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot. I want to be an engineer. But this young little boy said, I want to be like you people when I grow up, just because of the act of kindness that we had extended to them. We came preaching the gospel, we came sharing some little gifts, and that moved his heart. So the statement of saying never forget to reach out, I humbly request each one of us, it doesn't matter how little it is. Trust me, I was inspired by people who came to our communities and gave us the very little things. I grew up in an era where we used to look for pen pals on internet just to send you those little gifts. So, and today, for us who used to receive some of those few little gifts, we learned the act of kindness. I submit. Thank you so much. This was really encouraging. It was really inspiring, and I'm really blessed to be here with you guys. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, good team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank
Thank you.
you. God bless.
Thank you so very much, Paul, for sharing that. But if I see you're ready, go ahead and share with us.
Yes, hi everyone. I really came in late, but it was a very touching story. But I was caught by the thing saying that never give up on yourself. I once time gave up on me. I once time in my, as I grew up, I once gave up on me. But I really thank God that this very statement, someone made it a long time ago in my life. It's like, don't give up on you. It's your life. Make it better. It's all about you being better of you. So it's really, really encouraging that we should never give up on ourselves, because it really, I will not share my experience because of the time, but I've just felt it again. Even nowadays, I told you I'm in Somalia. This is Mogadishu. Yeah, if you know about Somalia. Sometimes you're here and you feel like you're giving up on you. Yeah, if the terrorist attacks you or whatsoever, but you feel like you should not give up on you. So thank you so much, Madam Kellen. I won't give up on myself. And after I will reach out for other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
He's an amazing young man. You'll have to get to know him a little more. He really, really is. You know, everybody that joins us, you know, and every week we have different people that are on and sharing with us, and it's so exciting. Conrad, I haven't heard from you. You want to share a word for us there, sir?
Yes, I want to welcome all of you to Uganda. Uganda is in Africa. So my name is Conrad. I am the PA, or I'll call myself as a leader under educational missions here in Uganda. I've always tried to organize these meetings, and I'm always in communication with Stanley to make sure that this happens. Personally, I'm really so touched by Karen's story. I feel it is really heart-touching. I've not had the same experience, but I've had several fears from my family. I always like to help when I can. I always like to reach out to people when I can. That is something that I've learned, and that is something that I've always really wanted to do. Because every time you help someone, you get blessings from God. And every time you help someone, there is something that really adds on or tops up your pockets. Really, I'll tell you, like Paul said, I'm sure Paul recently had a charity here in Kampala where he was giving out food to people. This was under Charity Gospel Missions Africa, and Paul is really doing a great job. I'm really so inspired by him. I have three things that I really picked from Karen's story, and the first one was poverty was not our destiny. I would also tell you openly that poverty is not my destiny, and really I'm not looking at that being my destiny. When I was growing up, I remember somewhere inside our house, we had a small banner that was in a frame, and it used to say, never give up in any struggle. And Karen said that where she says, I never gave up on myself, she said, I never gave up on myself. Every time I'm just there and I'm about to give up, I think about never giving up, because I always read it and it said, never give up in any struggle. Whatever struggle it is, I'm sure you can struggle and struggle, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. The other thing that Karen said was, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And this used to be a song that we used to listen to. But a few people will really take it unless you get to understand it and you take it personal, you won't understand the real deep meaning within it. But what doesn't kill you really makes you stronger. That is why Karen is now so stronger. She passed through a lot. She has suffered, but she never gave up. And right now she's so strong. When I was listening to her story, I was just waiting for that part where she became successful. And when she told me she started up her own business, I realized that is the other beautiful part, because when you have your personal business, trust me, at that point, at least you're the boss of your own. You can't chase yourself. You will struggle, you'll hustle to get the money, but at least you know you have to wake up at this time. You know you have to sleep at this time, just because you want to make sure you get some coin to your pocket. I want to thank Karen for really accepting our invitation and for sharing with us. As Educational Missions, we so humbly appreciate, and we are so glad to hear and learn from your story. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Conrad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much for sharing. Well, guys, it's about 12 after 12 according to my calendar here. Does anybody have a last word they would like to share? Karen, let me say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very, very much. Okay. You are making an impact, and by you being willing to open up and share, it really gives other people the encouragement that realize they need to be able to share and that they can move forward too. Okay, that they can push on, and that's what exactly we have to do. Our website is educationalmissions.org, educationalmissions.org. We would, if any of y'all would like to have the opportunity to be one of our guest speakers, there's a opportunity to share that. You want to go ahead and share your screen there, Conrad?
Yes, our website is educationalmissions.org. When you search on your browser, whether Chrome or Microsoft, or Mozilla or Firefox, you'll just find our website, which is Educational Missions. We have several tabs that you can look through about You Innovate Club, resources, news, inspirations, fundraising, and questionnaire. We have a small questionnaire here that anyone can take up. Whether you have joined our meetings, when you have joined our meetings, you can always go back to our questionnaire and answer a few questions. And if you also want to be our guest speaker like Karen, you can always contact us through our website, whether you do a phone call, whether you send a message, whether an email, in whatever way that is going to be very easy for you, you can easily contact us. But Because of time, I won't take you through a lot on our website, but you can create time and look through the whole of our website. Thank you.
And with that, okay, I appreciate all the positive comments. Let me read the chats real quick, and we will say goodbye to everyone and hope that you have a marvelous week. We appreciate it very, very, very much. And if you need anything, we're here to try to help you. Let us know. Okay. Good to see you all.
Thank you again. I thoroughly enjoyed sharing my journey.
Well, thank you. It was a blessing. It was a blessing to all of us there. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end the meeting for all of us. So we'll see y'all later. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Much success.
In about a week or so, you'll be able to see the video of this for you, Karen. So you'll be able to grab
Oh, great.
it. Good. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.